Whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog. When God made you, boo, you know he showed out. Mahogany enchantress, blessings overflow now. Picture of success, seductive silhouettes on a spiritual quest. Manifest and be blessed. Mother, sister, auntie, tribe of Ashanti. Rocking your locks, I got a close crop blondie. The curse and the gift, uplift, apply pressure. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. This is a podcast about mental health and wellness, as well as self-empowerment for Black women. And I have a bold Black woman in the waiting room. I'm your host, Ursula. I'm a transformational life coach and a mental health and wellness advocate. And each week, I promise to deliver relevant topics and resources that affect our community so that we can start to light that fire from within. Again, this is season 3. We are in the middle of it. We're coming to an end, and it's been an exciting season so far. Oh my God, a lot of resources for sure. I definitely want you to check out more resources on my website, blackgirlsgettingtheirshiftogether.com, where I have coaching packages. I have digital products as well as merch. See the t-shirt. Definitely, as well as different links for different events that are coming up. And definitely go on the audio podcast when you listen and give your girl a review. You know you want to put a 5-star in there. I dare you. I dare you to go ahead and put it. But please, yes, please give me a review. I know my content is great. So just show a sister some love. Housekeeping is finished. Now, did you all know that September is National Wellness Month? Part of that is how I came to ask this beautiful sister to be a guest on my show, because emotional wellness and healing is also part of self-care. So I'm going to bring this beautiful sister out of the waiting room.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Diamond. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I am well. Again, you always look beautiful tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you. So whenever you all are coming in, I want you to give Diamond some love, give me some love, say hello. Please type where you're coming, where you're commenting from, what state you're in, what gym you're from, because I know I'll let you tell it what gym it is, but I know Diamond gets a lot of love on her social media. So definitely come in and say hello. And also, if there are any light bulb moments, anything that made your soul vibrate, please put your light bulb emojis in the comment section so we know which direction we're going in. And there's a treat. I have dropped a link to Diamond's book, but we'll talk about that. That's at the end of the podcast. Diamond, where do I start with you?
Oh, it's a lot.
I know. Well, I'm going to let everybody know who I am talking to.
Okay.
Diamond is a mentor. She's a social worker. She's a fitness influencer. She's an author.
Yes.
I want to say you're a model because looking at your Instagram pics, I mean,
Yes.
can I put model in that? And I'm
Yes, I
very
am.
serious. Oh, well, there
Yes.
we go.
I'm owning it.
Well, you do look like one. Your pictures are dope, girl.
Thank you.
But do you mind telling our listeners about you? You know, like what do you do and just the essence of Diamond?
Okay. Well, my name is Diamond Cash. That is my birth given name because I always get that. Always all my life, I've always gotten that. Is that your real name? Yes.
Do you
It's
know that
my
was on
real
my
name.
list to ask you? It's like, is that your the government name?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
damn.
That's
Okay.
my birth given name. But I'm originally born and raised out of Detroit, Michigan, and I currently reside and I work and serve in Atlanta, Georgia. And with that being said, I do social work. Everything that she said, I am a social worker. I work on in the entity of children and families. So
Mhm.
a lot of the work that I do, I work with foster children, youth that are at risk, the most vulnerable. And I basically do a lot of advocacy work with them, with their families. I've had past experience as a case manager, working within
Oh,
foster care and in adoptions. However, I don't practice in that entity now. What I practice in is I'm a consultant with the state, and basically what I do is I consult with the foster care program to ensure that the educational rights of youth in foster care are being advocated for and that they are promoted, so that they can have normalcy as regular children in the school system.
you know, I think we may know we have a mutual person we know, which I will not say on air, but
Okay.
the more you're talking, I was like, she may know this person.
Okay, well, we're
Because
gonna
they're
have
in
to
that
check and
same
see after.
circle. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk after the show. Just stay
Okay.
on. Yeah.
Yes. I do have experience in social work. I first started off working with the homeless population, serving with those persons who are experiencing homelessness. And I started in Detroit as well as in Atlanta, as well
Really?
as serving with young women and young girls who were survivors of domestic minor sex trafficking, human trafficking, and I
Mm.
enjoyed serving in that population. I think it is not for the faint at heart.
I was gonna
um,
ask you that. How does that how like what's a work day for you when it comes to that?
I did it while I was in grad school.
Did you
And I was going to
really?
school full time, grad school. I would leave, school and go straight with the girls and work with them. And I worked in the residential setting, but I was also their life coach. So I worked with
Yeah.
them to help rehabilitate them back into the community where they won't resort back into that lifestyle or find it find that
Wow.
purpose to go back in there, especially if they got older. All they know is fast money. And so just helping them find purpose and empowering them. So I enjoyed it. I
Mm.
mean, I really enjoyed it. But I think one thing that I enjoyed the most was seeing how the girls came in and how they left. And
What did
even
that look like? How they came in and how they left? Like their
um,
mindset?
their mindset, the way that they function, the way that they communicated, the way that they had confidence about themselves, and just even looking at some of the girls now, they are grown and they are doing amazing things. Like they're doing, majority of them are doing amazing, great things for themselves. And I even say amazing, great things if they have children and they're caring for their children, or they're just maintaining a job. And that's big. That's big.
Right.
Or getting their high school diploma or their
Yeah.
bachelor's or their associates, or even investing in a trade. That is amazing to me. especially coming
Wow.
from where they came from. I remember just how they came in and how, the low self-esteem, it was there. The feeling of worthiness was there, and just to see how they feel empowered about themselves now, and how they, where they hair, how they smile, is amazing.
How does it make you feel when you see their shift? Like that one moment, like, oh, they got it.
Um, well, some of them I would say, because this is just social work in itself, or social work, education, any type of field where you're working and serving people, you have to come to the realization that you're not going to be able to help everybody. You're not going to be able to save everybody, but just seeing that one little change is amazing. And I mean, just even myself, I'm a Christian. I grew up in the church, and so how I worked with the girls, it was in a Christian setting, which I had that free range to do. So a lot of times, just putting mindfulness, putting different techniques of just reminding them who they are and whose they are, and just even like now they're grown. It's so I never would have thought it would happen, but just seeing how some of them call me, or they text me, or they reach out to me on email and say, Miss Diamond, do you remember the song you taught us? Or you remember what's the name of that song we used to listen to every morning, or every time we got up in the morning? Because I was sometimes coming in the morning, and at 6:00, and get up, let's listen to some gospel music, and or we'll be riding in the car, like I'm still fun loving, still hype, still the girl from the hood. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I wanted them to see, hey, yes, I have a side of me, hey, I grew up in the hood. I know what 2 Chainz, I was still relevant with them. But at the same time, I knew I wanted them to see my growth. And that's not even just with those girls. It's with girls I worked with that had severe mental health challenges. Or even my foster care kids. And I call all of my kids and my babies, because at the end of the day, it was my responsibility to make sure that they had some type of support. And so even with them, they knew, hey, Miss Diamond, she'll turn up with us, everything, like as far as dance. I'll try to get to know what the lingo is, because I have to stay in the loop too. But at the end of the day, they knew how far they can go with me. They knew where they can come to me at when it came to, just even talking about real life issues, or just about, their relationship with God.
So it sounds like you were holy and hood, right?
Pray for me. Don't play with me. Yes.
I like that one.
Yes. I would say, luckily, I had the best of growing up. And I think that, seeing both of those sides, have my family's dynamics.
Right.
I think that was just a part of it. And I grew up in the church. I lived in the church. So I could tell you every hymn, everything. But at the same time, I mean, I'm just thankful that one thing that my pastor said to me when I was a little girl, and he said to this day, we are not perfect people, but we're one of God's best. And that's how I look at my life every day. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm not holier than thou art. I'm not that. No, I know God. I know who he is. I talk to him every day. I love him every day. I pray to him. I'm big on my relationship. But at the same time, I think that he has provided me protection and healing, and he has guided me from out of situations that I probably would have not made it out of.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm realistic. And at the same time, I want to be able to come to somebody, come as they are. I want to come as I am, and I want you to come as me, as you are.
I love that. And I believe that's why those young sisters connected with you, because you accepted them as they are, and vice versa.
Exactly.
And they're not striving for perfection. That takes away a lot of the pressure.
No, at all.
Hello, we have a comment from Hi Blind Guy and his wife. She said, holy and hood is a thing. She said guilty. You need to check out her channel. She's so soft spoken, but she looks like she can get it up too.
Yes, connect with me.
Yes. All right, we're going to move forward.
Okay.
But before we move forward, I just want to post this for everyone that hold on, let me do one thing. That yeah, we'll just leave that up for now. So, going forward, we're going to set a trigger warning just because some stories that Diamond and myself may share may be disturbing to some or not, but just know that viewer listener discretion is advised. Moving forward, I'm going to read, oh, here it is from Diamond. Empowered Queens.
Mhm.
So, Empowered Queens is a mentoring program that engages women from various walks of life to support, educate, and empower one another to overcome many adversities challenged in their lives needed for success and further empowerment for the next generation of young girls. And you are in it to win it with that program.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what is this?
Okay. Well, actually, and I think that this is important because Empower Queens Mentoring Program, I started in 2016. And I started actually with one of my friends that, one of my best friends. And I started it because of the fact that we both were life coaches. We both worked with a lot of girls in Atlanta, and her story and my story was just like bomb. And so of course we both went through our whole fitness journey, and I think it's important because as Black women we go through those phases of being there for everybody else that we forget to be there for ourselves.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's what happened between us. We were still best friends, but it was like shift as far as career change with one of my friends. And then for me, it was a shift in far as my position where that happened, as well as just I needed to have a come to Jesus moment with myself because, being working in the field of social services, you're always there for everybody else. And
Mm-hmm.
when you work in that population, a lot of times you work in that population within your own family, within your own home, within your own personal connections. And so for us, we both decided that, hey, we're going to take a break. And the other piece of it was conflict of interest, which is something that is big in the field of social work. When I first started Empower Queens Mentoring Program, I wanted to work with at-risk girls. However, because of the entity that I work in, it would have been hard to reach to that population
Right.
because most of those girls have some type of affiliation with foster care, or just child welfare services. And so I was just like, at that point I was like, I'm over it. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I felt like I lost sight of everything. And it wasn't until I actually started connecting with other women, the women that said, hey, we want to jump on board. We want to be on your board. We want to support you. We want to be mentors. And so I'm having, because I like to get to know people. And I feel like if you're going to represent me, if I'm going to be connected to you, if you're going to be connected to me, I need to know who you are, how you have gotten to this place of womanhood right now to be in my alignment. And when that happened, I realized that some of the women that I was connected to, that I had just connected to, that I asked to be a part of my program, a lot of them were women who were sexually assaulted, who were sexually abused as children, who were either molested, raped. And with that,
So
I'm
you're
so
so Diamond,
can you
excuse me, Diamond.
I can
Can you repeat that last part again because your screen froze
okay.
and I don't want anybody to miss anything that you're saying.
Okay. So we were having brunch, and when we were having brunch, I had realized we were having a heart-to-heart moment in brunch. This is the beginning of the pandemic. This is in January of last year.
Oh.
I decided after hearing all these stories, I think late at night, my creativity mode sparks at night.
Right.
And I was thinking, and I said, what is God trying to tell me? So I got up in the middle of the night and started writing, like, all these women that you're connected to, there's something more in it. Now, at that time, I was like, I'm over it. I don't know what I'm going to do with my nonprofit. I don't know what I'm doing with it. And I said, let me have a brunch with them. And I included my mentor, and her name is Dr. Jonetta McSwain. And she is the lady that basically, like, when I say honestly, helped me see my purpose in this field of social work.
Right.
I wanted her to come. And we had a brunch, a little black dress brunch. And it was around 8 of us women that was there. And this is right before the pandemic. And in that brunch, tears was coming down faces. As Dr. Jonetta shared her story, and it empowered so many other women to share their stories of how they were, challenged as a child, how they were able to overcome some of their childhood issues. And I said, this is confirmation. How can we as women go help empower other women when we got stuff that we haven't even dealt with as a whole?
Right.
And that right there for me was bingo. In order to help the younger girls, we need to help each other. So I ended up, during the pandemic, started working, communicating with different women. And of course, as the pandemic continued to rise, it put a halt in everything. But I still maintained contact with these women. And it was another entity of that, because I did work with girls. And I will say it has a lot to do with my childhood. I am a first high school graduate, first college, first associate degree, first master's degree.
Wow.
As far as my mother's children. And it's so crazy, because some of the girls that were coming to me that I just connected to me, a lot of them connected to me through fitness. And so they were like, I want to go work out with you. And I'm like, okay. And then come to find out, they're my mentees. So,
oh wow, see.
So I'm like, oh, what is going on? But they, they didn't have the sexual abuse history, but they had some stuff that they knew they didn't want to talk about with me, and they wanted to go to college. And so part of, another program that I am getting ready to start, because I've been, ever since this past school year, I've had girls that come to me and say, I want you to mentor me. I want you to help me get through college. And I'm like, whoa, but I remember when I was in 12th grade, I had no help. I had no help as far as navigating through financial aid or anything of that nature. And I said, what is God? What is you doing? What? And so for me, I remember that, but I also remember, W.E.B. Du Bois and Clark Atlanta University, and remembering that, you have to have, our motto is culture for service, but also the talented 10, which is, once you obtain your education, you are supposed to go back into that community and help the next person.
Absolutely.
And so I kind of halted on it, and I ended up still helping them. And so what I'm doing now is I'm interviewing girls. And I'm only taking a certain number from me, but I'm also having conversations with some of the other ladies to take on girls to help show them the way. Because most of the women that are a part of my board team are college educated women. And if not, their parents. And so their parents, they've been through that. They know what it's like to go through college. They know what it's like to raise a teenager.
Right.
And so with that is the next entity up under that. But the other entity is still collaborating, still opening up that shared space, that space where I'm going to be including therapists, including social workers to come in and have support group. Once the pandemic is over, now I'm going to do virtual. I'm going to have a virtual option where we come together and we talk about, healing, having a support group and supporting one another and building that mentorship where this person is that person's accountability partner. And we're working on goals. We're working on healing. We're making sure, hey, are you going to therapy? Hey, are you getting this support? What's going on at home, and just making sure we have that connected space, but also making sure that we are equipping ourselves and putting ourselves first, and recognizing that we are survivors, but we're still on this road to healing.
Yes, that healing circle is real.
Yes.
And I love what you said about the accountability partners. I love what you said about checking on each other. I love when you said, "Hey, are you going to therapy?"
Yes.
All those layers normalizes, which helps the healing. Is that kickstart, because some people do not have the language on how to ask for help. So that's
Right.
why I was intrigued by your nonprofit. So
Mhm.
we're going to get into that nonprofit. So I'm reading some information, and it also said that you all serve the Atlanta community with peer support empowerment services for women and young girls who are survivors of childhood sexual abuse and that are in need of change and personal growth for development. And your mission statement is to provide the mentoring support for those who have been sexually abused.
Yes.
So what I hear your motivation, but what did your childhood look like for you?
Mhm. Well, I would say overall, I would say my childhood, I think it was very, it was transformational. I would say that.
Absolutely.
It was a childhood full of resiliency. It was some good times
Mm,
and some bad times, just like everybody else's childhood.
mhm.
But it's one that I would say was unique in itself. And if anything, the one word that I was identify for myself, my life, my who I am, is perseverance. And I think that whatever I went through, it was I persevered everything, whether it was good or bad.
Right.
Um, Overall, I would say it was just a transformational, because I look at how I was at this age and now at that age, and I just look at it, different d- ages of development for me, and I was like,
Mhm.
wow, I was able to do this and I was able to do that as a child, and I would honestly say overall, I think I had a blessed childhood.
Really? That is amazing how from your experience you had with your adversity,
Hmm.
it's like walking through the fire and look at you now. And for
Yes.
you to say, yeah, you can definitely see that you on that healing
Hmm.
quest, because
Yes.
I could not have said that at the time before therapy at
Yes.
all.
Yes. I thought I had like at one point in time, I thought I had like the most craziest and delusional childhood. But now that I look back at it, and I'm 32, I'm turning 33 next month. But when I look at it, I look at it and I say I had a blessed childhood overall, because it's no way that I could make it here. It's no way. And I
What
think it
was
was blessed.
what was blessed about it?
Um, at the end of the day, I had always had somebody. I had somebody to lean on, and I would say blessed because, as I think as a child, um, I pray a lot, and a lot of things that I pray for as a child, every day as a child, ended up happening for me. The things that
Really?
I prayed for, yes,
Hmm. Wow.
everything that I prayed for. When I look at it today, everything that I prayed for,
Wow.
I'm talking about years of prayer. I would say it's blessed.
That is amazing. How was your support system at that time?
Well, well, I will say so. As a young, like toddler years, my mother and my father, they were not married, but my father died when I was 4 years old. So
Hmm.
my mother, she has 4 children, and so
Mhm.
I have twin older twin brothers who are around like 11 years older than me. 11 or 12 years
Really?
older than me. So
Okay.
yeah, so my mother had to deal with different stages, and my mother was a teen mom. So
Uh-huh.
her being a teen mom with my brothers, they grew up differently compared to me and my sister. Me and my sister are 11 months apart. But
Wow.
yeah.
Really?
So it was a different age gap for my mother to handle both, sets. Having basically preteen boys and little girls, and then teenagers to toddlers. You dealing with different phases of parenting. And so as a toddler, after my father passed, and even probably like before my father passed, my mother had a lot of support from my aunts, and my grandmother was a big support, and my grandfather. They were all supportive of my mother because of the fact that, you know, she needed it. And it wasn't until after my father had passed away that, you know, my mother had, you know, was back at this stage in her life where she was struggling. And I remember just as a toddler, just moving around a lot as a child.
Really?
Still with our mother, we just moved around a lot. And it was times at that time, my brothers, they helped a lot. They helped as far as raising us and taking care of us. And it was a lot of times I was connected with my brother. So them being teenagers, of course, teenagers, they don't want their little sister, little brother with them all the time. And now that I'm older, I look at it and I'm like, they didn't really want us to come around. But at the same time, I was so attached to my brothers. I love being around my brothers. I love being around one of my aunts. She was around the same age as my brother, and they're all in their 40s. And so it was just like I was 3 and 4 years old. I was a teenager, what they call it. I was a teenager at 3 years old.
Oh, I never heard that term. I was like, wait, what did she say?
Yes. When you got those toddlers that act like teenagers, I was one of them. I hung around teenagers. So it was, you know, I had a little more exposure to different things as a toddler. I saw when my brothers was kissing girls and I tell on them and everything, but it was still fun time. We were poor, but at the same time we were you know, still a family. And it wasn't until like around elementary ages where, you know, just things just went kind of like solid down here. My mother was working a lot as a single mother. She was always working. And so, you know, as far as clothing, shelter, food, we had that. But as we got older, I noticed that, you know, the emotional, and I was always that child that wanted to just, hey, I want to show you this, I want to show you that. And people like, calm down, Diamond. But other than that, I remember just around from elementary all the way to middle school, I remember it was ups and downs as far as my childhood goes. I just remember just, you know, having to deal with bullying, having to deal with.
Did you really?
Yes. It's a different form. And I think at that time, if I recall, I remember, because I went to elementary school in the 90s. And I remember teachers hit me with the ruler.
In the 90s?
I still remember one teacher doing that because I did not know how to read. And it was because my mother worked so much that, you know, it was just a lot that was going on. And I just remember getting bullied and teased. And because of the fact that I didn't know how to read. And at that time we would have circle time, like everybody be in there, circle their desk, and we would go around and read the different parts of the book. And I would literally sit there and be like so nervous. I didn't know how to read to the point where I didn't even know where my part was coming up next.
Really?
And so when it came to my part, I just still remember to this day, people in the class like this, like, and a lot of my friends from elementary school, we're still friends to today. And I just remember they be like they'll be rolling their eyes like, oh, she can't read. And I would get so nervous because I didn't know how to read. And I remember one of the teachers pulling me out the classroom, and she was like, she had the book in her hand, a white lady, and she was like, read this. And I'm like, and she's like, read this. And then I remember she was like, you don't know how to read? I was
like, no, you're not doing your job, ma'am.
And I didn't know because I was always with my brothers who were teenagers. That all they was thinking about at that time was girls, the new shoe that came out, dancing, going out to the party. That's all they was thinking about. And, you know, they were with us after school while my mother was still working. My mother was a cosmetologist, so she always was working. And so I just remember just breaking down. I was like, I don't want to go to school no more because I'm tired of people talking about me.
Yeah.
And I just remember my brothers, I'm begging them. They was outside playing basketball with the neighbors. I said, please teach me how to read. I grabbed every book in the house. I'm like, every book. I'm like, please teach me how to read. I was like, because I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of people talking about me. And my brothers, they took turns coming in from playing basketball to teach me. We had Hooked on Phonics. Like, we had those things, but we didn't know how to use it. I remember sitting there watching Hooked on Phonics and reading the textbook. I still remember the purple book, the carousel book. I remember reading. That was my first book I read. And my brothers just helped me. And then my mom came home. I was like, I know how to say and the, and I was pointing at the different sight words.
Mhm.
And I just remember I couldn't wait. When I really learned how to read, I stayed up every night reading books every night. Like I was just really just trying to make sure I knew how to read. And when I came to school, I was like, I know how to read. Everybody in the class, I remember everybody's face looking. And they was like, she know how to read. And then I had to learn how to write because I was left-handed. So you're left-handed. I wrote things the other way. But I had a friend, her name, I'll never forget her name, Tawana or something. I remember her she had the prettiest handwriting. I'm like, you teach me how to write like you? And I learned how to write. And then of course, if you don't know how to read, you're not going to be able to know how to do math. You're not going to be able to know how to do science. You're not going to be able to know how to do the instructions. And so I did learn, and by the time I learned how to read, it was like that springtime. So
Wow.
I remember the school called my mother and they said, even though Diamond is doing well, we want her to stay back to get more of cursive writing. That's when they was teaching cursive, and to get her math. And I remember crying. I was like, please don't make me stay back. But Mama was like, you need to stay back.
Yeah, Mom was looking out for you, for sure.
Yeah. And I hated it so much. And then after I learned how to read, I taught my sister, my little sister, how to read. And so we both stayed back. And we learned how to read, we learned how to write, and cursive and math and everything of that nature. And I just remember coming back to the grade and seeing my sister friends from her classroom in my class. And I just remember just that's when the teasing started, because I was the tallest, the biggest girl in the class. Because
they weren't playing with it then. May I read a comment right here? This is pretty good. Blind Guy and his wife said, oh, wow, that's great to be over 30 years old and to be able to say, I had a great childhood.
Yes.
Despite the adversity that had happened.
I don't regret anything that has happened in my life. I don't. I feel like, and I always say this, I tell people like this, I feel like God wrote my story. I'm just sitting here reading it. And it's going to be some good chapters. It's going to be some chapters that are going to take me out. It's just like a book. You just got to get through the end of it. You got to keep reading. And so that's why I say it was a great childhood when I look over the whole chapter of it. Yes, it was a great childhood because I had to learn some stuff that if I didn't go through it then, I wouldn't have been able to do it now.
Right, exactly. So I hear that you said you prayed a lot. But what was the shift?
I went to go stay with my grandmother. I went to stay with her. I lived with my grandmother when I was
excuse me. When I say shift, like what was the shift of your mindset? That's where I'm going with this.
As far as when I prayed?
Well, not even just praying, just having this outlook on life despite what you went through, but to make you overcome of what happened in the past.
I would say a combination of therapy, the support, the opportunities in my life, the different people that I met, as well as my continued relationship with God. Like I have grown a lot with my relationship with God, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But also a big part of it would be me studying social work.
Really? So how does that look? How does it correlate with each other?
Because when I went into the social work program at Clark Atlanta University, I remember one of the professors, Dr. Sharcella Green at Clark Atlanta. I remember the first day we went there, and I took a class called Working with African American Families, and she said, "You will not pass my class." And she's old school. She went to Clark during segregated South, Jim Crow. So she grew up in Jim Crow, everything. And so she was like, "You will not graduate this institution and you don't know nothing about your family. How can you go and help somebody else's family when you haven't even went through and understood your own family?" And I was like, whoa, like she said it the first day. And she said, you have to understand where you come from, how you came, what happened before you. And so that's when she started telling us about her life growing up under Jim Crow, and where she was able to explain her whole family dynamics that she knew of, despite our history being stripped. But her saying that, helped me realize like, whoa, and in doing the work, doing the projects, I was able to look at my family members a lot different. I was able to look at myself different. And that's what helped me.
I love what you said about doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds, I say it so much, it's almost cliche, but I love that term because it took for me to do the work where I started seeing other people differently, family members,
Yes.
seeing myself differently and how I was talking and relating to my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned this on the pod before. There's this book I'm reading. I can only take it in bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Adult Children of Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents.
Ooh.
Diamond,
I'm about to go ahead and order that.
I will send you the link. I'll put it in the
Please.
show notes. Oh
Please.
my God. I was 3 pages in. I couldn't even read anymore. I was crying. I mean, the light bulb moments were just coming just like that. And that's when I had more of a shift on how I would see some family members. And
Yes.
it resonated. So I can only read it in doses, but I am going to finish it because every time I go back and read, even if it's a page, I learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I choose to sit in it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, as you know, the clarity is something else. And it's so much better than walking around in a fog. Like, I'm sure, have you walked in a fog? So you get it, but the clarity is amazing. I'm going to read another comment from Celeste, the therapist. Hello, Celeste. She said, yes to therapy and support. It's huge.
Yes.
And she also piggyback was saying that the book I talked about is good.
And I love to read, so I can add that to I'm reading I'm reading What Happened to You, Oprah. And I was like, I gotta add that to my book. But I love this book.
Yeah. Can you put that up again so I can take a screenshot of it?
I don't know. Okay. Can you see it?
Okay.
And it talks about
got it.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Thank you. And it talks about what?
It talks about people, her childhood and how, she's with Dr. Perry as well. And so
the light-skinned brother?
No, white guy, not Dr. Steve Perry, but the other.
Oh, okay.
Bruce Perry. And so they're talking about how, growing through trauma as children and how they go through it. And her story, with her story as itself, she talks about it. So it's really, really good, really, really good so far. I have not finished yet, but I'm reading between that and Cicely Tyson's book.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Blind Guy and his wife told you to hold it still so we can see it and buy it and stuff.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in the description box right now. I will do that. So before we get into the meat of the story with your launch, before we get into that, based on how you grew up, did it affect how you dated as an adult or in college?
Yes. It affected it a lot. Honestly, I would say that because it was around like 12 when I went to go stay with my grandmother, I was sexually abused from the ages of 8 to 11. I went to stay with my grandmother at 12. And I remember just crying because I didn't know nothing about, Christ or anything like that. So I told her, I'm afraid to die. I don't want to be on the ground. I remember she said, okay, were you going to go to church with me? And so I started going to church. I went and got baptized at 14 years old. I'm really a granny's girl. And my granny is my best friend. But at the end of the day, like my granny, she was always, that extra support that I had. And so for me, around my teenage years, I was able to flourish a lot more because the abuse had stopped.
Mhm.
And so I was able, one thing I will say about my mother that I love the most is that my mother was a parentified child. She was the child, she was the oldest out of my grandmother kids that had to help everybody, had to be there for everybody, had to cook, clean, do hair, cut hair, everything. So,
Did she meet anybody that you had dated?
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mother has. But at the same time, um, she made sure that my family made sure as I was a teenager, I did everything from dance, ballet, tap dance, church choir. I literally lived at church. I did everything. NAACP. I was involved in everything as a teenager, and it was amazing. I think I would say out of all of my years, that was the best years of my childhood. I was be able to teenager, but also my mother. I would go in my neighborhood and my mom's
Mhm.
house, and so I was able to hang around kids that was in the neighborhood. I was able to go to parties. I was able to have parties. But at the same time, I knew on Saturday night I had that party, but I better be at church on Sunday. And so with that, I started dating. I started dating in high school. Different people, I would take them serious. I was very like private, and I'm still that way to this
Really?
day. Very private because I just didn't want a lot of people in my business. I started dating different guys, and just whatever, so may have you. And then I ended up dating. I ended up dating someone in the church, and um,
Ooh,
I would
how was
say,
that?
I would say honestly, I would say part of it. I would say most, if anything, I'm very thankful to have dated that person because they was there when I disclosed. I disclosed that I was sexually abused at 18. They were supportive
Mhm.
when I was there. The
Oh, that's
church
a
was,
blessing.
yeah, the church was supportive for me. Um, and when I started dating, I started dating that person like towards the end of my senior year. And when I was in my senior year of high school, I was ready to drop out. I was
Mhm.
like at the point giving up, and it was the church that kind of like supported me. It was my ex at that time. My ex was very supportive all through college. I mean, I learned a lot. And to this day, I'm still connected. His family is like my family. I still love them to death. I still respect them a
Nice.
lot because they were in a part of my life where I felt the lowest. I felt like I was just done. So with that being said, that's when I dated, and then it was the breakup, my first real back breakup, where
Mm.
for me, um, just trying to get my life back with college, trying to get the sense of I'm a 20-something year old, and I didn't want to date anybody. I felt the effects of being taken advantage of
Mhm.
to this day. That is probably, I'll say, that's the one thing I still, working with therapy. I don't like to be used.
Ah,
I don't
yeah.
I don't like to
Yes.
be taken advantage of. I don't like to ever feel like I'm being used or taken advantage of. And so that's something I'm very hesitant or I'm very
Mhm.
skeptical about when I'm pursuing a relationship with someone. Are they out here to use me? Don't do too much because they might use me, or they might just take what I give them and don't thank me. And that's what plays in the back of my head because a
Right.
lot of times it comes back to the effects of being abused. Somebody took something from
Mhm. Yeah, you are definitely overcoming.
you. Yes.
Speaking of overcoming, oh, before we talk about overcoming, I like to sip on my coffee, people. So if you'd love to support the creative content that I have, or you'd like to be a supporter of Black girls getting their shift together, or if you'd like to buy me another coffee for my next episode, I'm going to drop the link in the comment section so you can buy your girl some coffee. Why not, right? Damn, I just dropped it. Let me sip on this. So, speaking of overcoming,
Uh-huh.
you definitely are overcoming because
Yeah.
You walked through the fire. You're just blossoming now, and now you have a book launch. I believe it's October 8th.
Yes, October 8th is for my Kindle. I launched it earlier for everybody. So it was kind of, I launched it on my mother's birthday on September the 2nd, the physical book. I'm going to launch the Kindle version on my birthday, October the 8th. But I did it on my mom's birthday, which she was so surprised. She didn't even know. And I was like, yes, it's your
Oh,
birthday.
that is so kind. Oh my God. Look, I just took a screenshot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped the link to your book. Can you tell people about your book called Overcoming Affirmations for Your Success?
Yes, so my book, Overcoming Affirmation for Success, it actually started um, in 2017. I was going through, and I would say honestly, I was going through post grad depression,
Mhm.
working first time working in the field of social work, depression, um, and I was so busy being there for everybody else that I had to take in the time. My health was getting, I yeah, my health was getting horrible. Like it was horrible dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome,
Oh,
weight gain.
really?
Yes, weight gain like crazy. When I moved to Atlanta, I had just went through weight loss. And when I came here, going to school full time, working 3 jobs, I didn't work out for 4 years. Where
Hmm.
when I was living in Detroit, I was working out and people would see me. I think I came home. I went home July 2017. I went home to visit my family. And I remember my cousin said, "What is going on? Your face." He was like, everybody was like, "What is Diamond? What did you doing?" I'm like, "Y'all was in school all this time." And I was like, "It's nothing." I kept like, "Whatever, it's nothing." And it wasn't until I went to the doctor and my OBGYN, and she was like, "We've done everything that we can do with your PCOS. I've done everything I can do." And I remember her having this heart to heart with me. And she said, "You got your nails done. You got your hair done. Your face," like my doctor was real. "Your face beat." She was like, "You come here with all these cute jeans on, and you mean to tell me you don't have time to work out or to even drink water?" And I was like, looking at her like, who is she talking to? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not coming back to her. That night, I remember it set in my head. And I was like, why it bothered me because she gave it to me so real. And that next day, I was in the grocery store buying food. I had a thing full of Oreos, and I was with my niece. And I remember one of my friends posted up her weight loss results, and she was like, "I'm going to this gym and in Atlanta." And my friend, she's a teacher, and she got 2 kids, a single mother. I'm like, okay, this is my friend. I know, we know each other. I know she's very budget friendly because she has her own nonprofit. And
Right.
so I caught her in the middle of Walmart, and I said, "Where you going?" I was like, "How much it would cost?" And so she was like, "Well, I'll go here. I'll go to Effect Fitness in Atlanta." She was like, "Only cost this much." And she's like, "You can go as many times as you want to." And I said, "Okay." I'm like, "I did boot camp before." I was like, "I guess I'll go with you." She's like, "You want to go me tomorrow?" It was the Saturday when I caught her. Sunday morning we
Hmm.
went. And I remember going. And I was like, oh no. I was like, this is not for me. But I was like, okay, I got to stick to it. I got to do it. The next day, because she is a teacher and she's a single parent. So the next 2 days, she was like, "I can't come. I got to come at this time." And a part of me wanted to be like, well, I guess I'm going to come home. Then I said, I was driving in the car and I said, no, you got to go. Like you planned on going. And so I went, and then that night I said, I don't know if I'm gonna do this because I had to pay a membership. It was coming to that time where I had to pay my membership because you only get so many free. And so I said to myself, I got to do this. I got to do this. Especially, I'm getting older, and the chances of fertility were very low at that time because I wasn't having cycles and everything. And I was like, I got to do this. I've always
Hmm.
been a writer, and that's why I released the book on my mother's birthday, was because that's one thing my mother has a gift for writing. I used to always sit there and read her writings, but she always encouraged me to write.
Hmm.
She always bought me journals. She always bought me diaries. She always
That's
bought me
nice.
books. And so for me, I just said I gotta start journaling. I gotta go to therapy. I gotta get this help. And I ended up starting writing. And I started writing affirmations to myself about, what I need to work on. And the first thing was change. I think that's my first chapter was change. My first entry is change in my book. The second one is letting go, because I had to let go of friends. I had to let go of people.
Oh, that resonates. The letting go. I was just talking to somebody during lunch today about letting go. I'm going to read a comment. Blind guy and his wife said, that's accountability on your doctor's part. Light bulb emoji. She was not letting you just walk around being cute, but crippled inside.
Yes, I agree. And she said, she was like, I can take your money. And that's, for me, it spoke numbers to me. Even with how, I picked my medical, to this day, my medical team. I don't want a doctor that's going to put me on prescription medication all day, or that's going to tell me keep coming back. Even when it comes to my dogs, I'm such an advocate for HBCUs, because I went to HBCU. So most of 90%, 97% of my medical team, even including my dogs, are HBCU medical professionals.
I love
it.
For
me, it's me giving back to another HBCU, because at the end of the day, they have to pay back their student loans or whatever. So they have to pay back to that school. But also it's me knowing that I'm contributing to someone who else is contributing to their field. Whether in, like, my OBGYN, she helps out with the, the Black community. She's a specialist in PCOS, and she'll tell you, I'm a big girl. I remember her telling me, I'm a big girl too. I like chicken wings. I like to eat. I like to do all this. But she's like, you got to at least start by doing some water, drinking water. She's like, start by that. And it's so crazy, because to this day, like, she's still giving information, still helping. And for me, when I say overcoming, throughout this whole process, this book started because I went to the doctor, and I went to the gym. I went to the gym and I wrote to myself to keep myself going. I think the first month that I went to boot camp, I didn't take any days off. Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was going every day, because I had a hard time, like, getting used to the movements, getting used to the exercise. I went faithfully for 30 days. I documented my journey in my books, my journals.
Amazing. Amazing.
And that's how I didn't even put everything that I wrote in my journals, because I've been working out consistently for 4 years. And so I only picked the most critical parts of my journey that probably broke me down mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. That change was the big part, that letting go. I have lost friends, and some of them reconnected, but some of that I had to go through some moments where I had to separate myself from certain things.
It goes back to that letting go part there, because sometimes not everyone and things, sometimes they no longer serve you.
Sir, that they can't go with you in that season. And for me, my friends that were, I was hanging out with, I love them to death. I was the big girl out of all of them. And I hated it. And it had a lot to do with the self-esteem, the way I felt. I was a pretty big girl, but I was always put in the friend zone. Oh, Diamond, hook me up with your friend. Hook me up with this person. Oh, I like this person.
Wow.
It was never. And I'm like, whoa, what's something wrong with me? And that's what I started thinking. So I realized that, I had to make changes with my finances, that if I want to lose this weight, I can't go out and eat with y'all every day. I think for a point in time in my life, I couldn't even go out to the clubs. I couldn't do certain things. I couldn't buy clothes at that time, because I had to buy clothes for working out. Because at first I started off with baggy clothes. Now I can walk around with a sports bra in the gym, and I don't care what nobody got to say about me. I can wear my fupa out, where a time before that, I wouldn't even dare walk around with it.
Well, you're overcoming, girl. You're not thinking about any of that. You are overcoming.
Yes.
So if anyone is, people who are listening now, I encourage you to purchase Diamond's book. It's very inspiring. I dropped the link in the chat section just now. I dropped it as well. It's in the show notes. So you just click in the description box. But I made it easy for you.
And grab some pens and some crayons or paper, because it's not just a regular book. It has some resources in there to help you plan. I put that case management in there, that case planning in there for yourself. So working towards setting your goals, working towards the things that you got to reflect on, the mindfulness, self-care, who you need to let go of during your journey. I put all of that in there for you guys. So it's a workbook as well. It's not so much of a book of affirmations, but it's also journaling, writing, because that's such a big part of healing.
I'm going to ask you semi-personal question
Mm-hmm.
because I experienced this. So when I have journaled, there's been a point where I don't like to go back and look at what I wrote. Have you ever experienced that?
No, I have some of my journals from when I was in school.
Really? I need to put my big girl panties on.
Reflection is good. Reflection is good. I think I that's one of my chapters. Reflect.
Go into that, the reflect part.
Well, with that, sometimes I always believe people say, "Oh, don't look back, don't go back and look at your past." You can go and look back at your past, just don't stay there. Look back, but don't go back.
Right.
And one of my mentees told me this. One of my mentees at Clark Atlanta told me this. She said, "I'll never forget this to the day. If anything, I remember she's telling me this." And I thought about it. I'm like, wow. And I said, that's all I do is I'll go back and look back, but I ain't going back there. I'm going to look back at what happened to look back. Because how can you overcome if you are afraid to look back at where you're overcome from?
Exactly. It was such a dark place for me. I'm getting better at it because before I wouldn't.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does take time because there was a point where I wouldn't even want my fingers to touch the pages. But now go back and peek. But
I go back a lot. I go back and break us. I'm like, I'm thinking like even when I was in high school and elementary, when I liked somebody, I'm like, why did I like them? I was tripping. What was wrong with me? I literally look back at some of the things I wrote in my journal. I'm like, and I have to question myself a lot of times, but it makes me think of how much I've grown as a female, or as a friend, as a family member, or even as a partner.
Well, you inspired me. So before I go to sleep tonight, I'm going to open up my journal and I'm just going to pick a random page. For real, you've inspired me. I'm going to go back and look because I know there's been growth for sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Self-assessment. Yes, you have to assess yourself sometimes.
It's like that assessment when you go to the gym. We both go to the gym a lot. We got to get
how much have you worked out? How much do you work out? What's your fitness level? Yes.
All of that. Let me read a couple of comments and then we'll start wrapping it up. You're getting some love. Diamond, Detroit support in the chat.
That's my family. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. Oh, Stephanie, I'm going to need you to subscribe to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together on the YouTube channel, ma'am. Please and thank you.
That's one of my supports there. She's bomb, phenomenal.
Oh, I love it. And also Celeste says she loves it.
I love it too. I hope you follow me. I got to follow you, Celeste.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's been my mentor. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she's amazing. Stephanie Strickland said, hello. Oh, you subscribed already. See, Stephanie's now my best friend. Moving on. And Blind Guy and his wife said, we didn't know any better. That's our excuse. Ooh.
Yes.
That hit. Yeah. So Celeste said, yes, subscribe. That's right. Listen to Celeste. And Blossoming Globe said, I haven't gone back to my entries either, but yes, thank you for the encouragement. Reflection equals growth. Yes. See, someone, because I'm doing this live. Can someone put some light bulb emojis in the chat comment section for me? Help me out. I always tell everybody, if you have any vibrating moments that made your soul just rattle in a good way, to put some light bulb emojis. So someone do that for me, please. Because obviously Blossoming Globe also felt that as well.
Yes.
Well, we're going to start wrapping it up. Any words of encouragement you'd love to end with?
The one thing I will always say to everybody is just, um, I'm gonna stick with the one scripture, and I'm gonna stick with this scripture that I read every day. The scripture that I apply to my life is perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If you forget anything, just continue to persevere. Remember, as long as you persevere, you can overcome anything that's possible. And that keep reading your story. It's your story. God knows how he wrote your story. He knew your story
Yeah.
before he made you. And you got to go through it to get through it. And you got to be
Mm,
able to persevere. Whatever's challenging you in your life right now, it's a test. Still celebrate it. Still embrace it. But make sure you finish it.
I love that. Make sure you finish it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Make sure you
we
finish it.
get so tired and just fall out. We're just
Did
done.
you read my book?
Spirit attracting spirit, sis.
Lord, I'm sitting here like she must have read the book because
Talk to me.
that
Oh,
is
I
so
want to
crazy.
hug you. I want to give you
That
a
is so crazy, and I'm not even got to cry because I'm like, I literally said that in the book. I remember just writing that in the book, and I said, it's okay to slow down. It's okay when you get tired, but you better not give up. And I wrote that a day when I was getting ready to just give up on working out. I was done. And I just
wow.
slowed down and I kept going. So you have to apply that to your real life. No matter how hard it gets, you better not quit. Just you gotta slow down. But don't finish it. If you as long as you finish it, doesn't matter. But don't get, you're gonna get tired. Slow down and still keep going until you finish it. Then you're done. That's why
Diamond.
I said that.
That's not a coincidence. I swear. That's how spirit works.
Yes.
I want to give you a hug right now. Oh.
That's so crazy. Ooh.
So I'm going to read a couple more comments. And Stephanie says she's proud of you, Diamond.
Mm-hmm. Thank
And
you.
yes, I don't know. Can you see the comments?
Yes, I can see him.
Oh, good. And Blossoming Globe said, God knows my story. Yes, and yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Blind Guy and his wife, finish it. Yes, finish it. And let's see. So many women have the same sentiment. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, like people think, oh, you have overcome. No, I'm still overcoming. And I put that on every page. I put every page all the way from the front to the back. I am overcoming because at the end of the day, it don't stop. You're going to still have trials. You're going to still have tribulation. You're going to still be some things that's going to happen in your life, but you have to overcome it. It doesn't stop. Just because you finish or you meet this goal don't mean that another goal ain't about to come to you.
You want to hear a funny story?
Mm-hmm.
Story time. So a couple years ago, my therapist, she had discharged me. We had the goal set and they were accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling her, we were just talking about healing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. I was discharged from therapy. I am healed. And she was like, what? She just laughed. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. And I was very serious. Like, oh no, I'm good. No, ma'am. Yes, I am good, but the healing did not stop. I thought I was done, but that was here. But as I continued to grow and peel back more layers, there was some more stuff stuck on, just like you and I talked about how Black families tend to sweep issues and situations under the rug. And then that rug is so big, we just go through life tripping over it. Yeah, that was me.
Yes. Yes.
So,
and I agree. I totally agree. And even just like you said, okay, wait. And I say this, and I'm saying this wholeheartedly. Anybody that has been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, they still have to go through. I still go through therapy for it. Sometimes I And when you study the field of social work, therapy, counseling, it's like we already know what's gonna happen. So luckily with my therapist, she kind of blew me at her. Like, I was like, oh, she real good, because I was expecting her to do this and do that based off what I learned in school. And I remember sometimes I don't know how we'll get on the subject. And I'm like, well, how are we on here? And then I realized that a lot of times it's just like the stages of change. You have relapses. So you have relapses even when it comes to therapy. Therapy, you think you're doing good, then you go shut back down, then you get, that's just life. I think I'm going through that now. It's like you could feel like, or just like even me, or we're at this level, but we still feel like we're not doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's the phases. It's gonna happen. So with therapy, like what you said, you thought everything was peaches and cream. No, and I'm comparing it to your doctor. You have to keep going to the doctor all the rest of your life. You got to keep getting annual physicals every year of your life until you leave this earth. The same way with fitness. People think because you go and get a surgery done that you don't have to work out, or you lost all this weight, you don't have to work out no more. You have to maintain it. So you have to keep going in order to maintain it. So it's the same thing when it comes to mental health. You have to keep getting those outlets. You have to have that support. And it may look different from the first time you did, but at the same time, you still have to have somebody to talk to. You still have to have somebody to hold you accountable. And I tell people that about therapy all the time. With therapy, it's not about what you're going to go in there and it's going to be all and honestly, a lot of Black people think that they go into therapy and they're going to just vent all their problems. And that's it. I tell people all the time, if your therapist is not holding you accountable, that's not a good therapist, because my therapist will hold me accountable. And she'd be like, hold on, let's come back at this, or this is something that I want you to work on. And I won't understand why she had me working on it the next week. And then I come back and I say, that's why you had me working on it?
Light bulb moment, light bulb.
So I say that just to say, you treat your mental health just like you would treat your physical health, just like you would treat your spiritual health. You're going to still have to, seek to God in times of good and bad. So yes, it's a cycle. It's the cycle of life.
It really is. You really making me think. Let me tell you the revelation I just had as you were talking. Let me get my light bulb emoji. I just now realized when I finished when I was discharged the first time with therapy, that I had finally come to a place where I had peace. And it was just a breathing moment, like, and I labeled it as, oh yeah, I'm healed. But really, I was just catching my breath. I literally just thought about this just now. I was just catching my breath, but I wasn't finished. And then, like you said, a relapse, just something from the past came up. I didn't even know it was there, Diamond. So I had to put on my running sneakers again and get on that track. And I'm still trying to get to that finish line.
Yes.
Yeah.
With everything in your life, if somebody's dealing with grief, like I tell people all the time, like, I know how it feels to lose a father, but I can never tell you how it feels to lose a mother. And I tell people all the time, if you lose a partner or whatever, people think, oh, you go through the grief counseling, you're done. No, you need to keep going back, because it's not going to be a day that you're not going to miss that person. And you just totally forget about them. You still have to go and talk about how your feelings, how you feel 10 years later after they pass, how you feel, you still want to have that conversation. You still want to be able to hold that person to you, but also not forget them. But also you need to have those healthy conversations to be able to move to the next level of life. So it's the same way when you're talking about that, when you're talking about anything as far as your life, your goals, or anything that you have went through or endured, you still need to come back. And then it's all time all together. It still go back to reflecting back, looking back at the past and how you continue to move forward.
Yeah. And you know what? I also, to piggyback on that, for anyone who is older, and if you hear someone who is younger than you, you can always learn from someone despite their age, because I'm
yes.
learning from you. I mean, I'm about to get busy in this journal later on tonight, because and I just don't. I think sometimes we use, and I get it because I've done it. Use excuses. I don't listen to her, him, he's younger than me. What did they know? No.
Mhm. Yeah, I was a big person that used a lot of defense mechanisms to
Yeah.
not, even with the whole weight loss thing. Like, I was like, oh well, I'm gonna still eat because I literally thought this, and it's crazy. I look at it and I'm like, I really thought that. I used to literally say, I remember senior year of college, junior year of college, I used to say, oh, I don't want no kids. I don't want no kids. I don't want no kids. I said that. I spoke that. I said I didn't want any kids because of the fact that I knew my fertility level was low. But then also, when I think about it, and this is how, like I said, I'm overcoming PCOS. I managed to live with PCOS. And I tell people all the time, it was a point when I was in grad school, I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna just keep gaining weight because I'm gonna have kids now. And when I had kids, I'm gonna gain weight anyway. And not realizing that gaining weight is gonna make it worse, where I won't be able to have none. And even with the PCOS, I'm a big advocate for, making awareness of PCOS in the Black community for Black girls, because I had the symptoms at 16. And at 16, I'm thinking, oh, I didn't have a cycle. If I didn't have a cycle, I'm good because I can go to the game, I can wear this, I can do that. That's what I was thinking. And I was a Medicaid baby. So at that time, when I heard about PCOS, that's when I had got a full-time job. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, and went to a Black female doctor. Not saying I had a Black male doctor who said, oh, that's just because you're playing sports, you're playing volleyball, whatever. And it wasn't until I was 21 years old and I had got my own full-time insurance. And I remember her saying, you haven't had a what? She was like, no, we're going to go test you for some stuff. And come to find out I had PCOS. Never heard of it a day in my life. I had called every family member, like, what is this? Like, what is going on? And I used as a crutch. I think that kind of propelled me into social work, because I was sitting there and look like, how can people hurt kids, and how can people have kids and they hurt them? And here me, I can't have them, and I love kids. And then I just believed that, and I talked and spoke that. And it was also the thing where, okay, that Black girl magic. I can't be young with a kid. I'm not going to continue the single mother trend in my family. I'm not taking on those curses. I'm not going to be a teen mom like my mother. I said those things. And it wasn't until grad school where I was just gaining weight. My highest weight was 334 pounds. I'm in my 200s now, but I was 334 pounds.
Excuse me. She says she's in her 200s, but if you look on her Instagram, she moves like she's 98 pounds. Like, damn, girl. Yes. This can move.
Yes. But even with that, even with the whole health situation, I say it for a reason, because that's why I say I'm overcoming. Throughout these 4 years, I've overcome a lot. I have PCOS because I can't get rid of it. It's a syndrome. But I don't have the same thing. I have a normal lifestyle of a woman, like every month. But also I know when to expect my monthly visitor.
Right. I would love for you to come on another time so we can. I love what you said about having that in the Black community. So
you got to overcome, and that's why I say this is when you put your goals in place, you can overcome so much more stuff that you didn't even expect.
Yeah, we may have to do an overcoming part, 2.0.
Okay.
I love that. So I'm going to read a couple comments and then we really will wrap it up. Stephanie Strickland said, learn how to release and stand in your truth. And Celeste said, Spirit speaks to us in different ways. We have to stay open to hearing so that we do not miss the messages we need to hear.
Yes.
That part. A lot of us can be closed-minded. Guilty. I mean, I didn't think I was at the times, but I was, because we all have, yes. But we've listened to you tonight, so we know a little more. So there's no
Thank you all.
excuse. Oh, you know what? Diamond,
Mhm.
you qualify as a Black girl that has her shift together.
Yes. What if I win?
She said, "What did?" Okay, that's a good one. No one's ever said that to me.
You said qualify. I'm like, what is the winning?
You, girl, you always winning.
I love that name though. I love it.
Well, you know what? Thank you. Thank you.
I promise you, I love it. I think when you follow me on Instagram, I was like, this is so cute.
Well, I'm the epitome of a Black girl. And you know what? I had to get my shit together because I didn't realize how low vibrating I was. I really had no idea. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. All right. Yes. So, anyways, I had to get my shit together. And as I had my shit, I was getting it together. That's when I had the mental shift and started shifting the way that my mind was and my thought process. I didn't realize I was as a negative person as I was. It was a lot of negative self-talk. But I had no idea because it wasn't negative self-talk like, oh, Ursula, you're ugly. It was other things. So it just went right over my head. Yeah, exactly. But you
all go through that.
We do. And we don't until we peel back those layers. And when I have beautiful guests on like yourself, you learn. I learn every time I have a guest to come on. And I'm going to end with this last comment. Celeste said, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, Celeste.
And on that note, you all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for all your comments and listening to this awesome girl chat. And Diamond, I'm honored you said yes. And I really hope you come back again.
Yes. And I got to give me a shirt because I want one of those shirts.
Girl, I'll drop that link in the description box too.
I definitely want one shirt.
For sure. I will get that info to you. But you all make sure, click the links below so that you can purchase Diamond's book. Remember, support Black business, but more importantly, let's try to expand our mindset. Let's overcome. Let's have some affirmations for success. And with that being said, you all have a beautiful evening. And Diamond, you stay beautiful.
You do too.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together.